I'm Dennis Young with Issues in Education. We're here in Milwaukee at the annual conference of the 2019 EdSpaces. And with me I have Steve Olson, who's superintendent of the Community High School District 155 that is in Illinois and consists of 4 high school facilities along with an alternative ed program. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Dennis, for the invitation.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, you've been through the strategic planning process, so there's nothing more grueling than going through that process, because you enter with a promise, and then you come out, hopefully with a purpose, and that everybody's on the same page. So how long did that process start? How did you set it up?
Well, I've been in the district for 35 years. I've been superintendent for 3 now, and this was kind of my way of saying thank you to the district and making sure that we're moving in a direction that the community wanted us to move in. And so we invited stakeholders from community, businesses, kids, parents, staff, got together over the course of a year and sat down and really analyzed where we were at and where we'd like to be at the end of the rainbow. And so throughout that process, got a lot of feedback, solicited opinions via surveys. Over 5,000 surveys were submitted.
Wow.
And through that process, kind of landed on that mission statement, kind of catchy, easy to remember, enter with promise, leave with purpose. It rolls off the tongue. And wanted to kind of come up with something that people could remember and grab hold of.
Okay. So for those districts that want to embark on such a process, you must have hit some barriers right off at the beginning. Was it just the management, the sheer size, or just what were they?
Well, I knew right off I wasn't going to be smart enough to do it on my own. So we did hire the Consortium of Educational Change. They came in and facilitated the conversations, because through that process we had 4 meetings with that leadership team, but then we went out and had conversations with students in each of our 5 buildings. We met with parents at night to kind of get some feedback from them as well, and then try to develop and kind of hone in on what those expectations were, and landed on 5 specific goals in relation to student well-being and student knowledge, and developing those partnerships with the community as well.
I would imagine the community college today is really looking to have a close connection with the school district. They're looking to maintain their enrollments and looking for that future student. How active were the community colleges? Yeah,
we really engaged them, and we had members of the community college there as well, and we're really firming up that partnership with them via this process. And one of the fallouts from that is our ongoing development of potentially having students graduate from high school with an associate's degree at the same time, and getting our staff then to become dual credit certified instructors to allow kids to take those courses in our buildings part of the day, and then perhaps go out to the junior college for a portion of the day as well.
Is that something that came out of the planning process, to get all that kind of certification of staff, or did you have a little bit of that?
We had some, but my reality was that with the 3 to 4% increase in college costs every year, and having such a high percentage, 85% plus of our kids going off to college, that this was something that I felt our students in our community really needed. And we have a very quality junior college literally 2 miles from town, that it became really paramount in my mind that we firmed up this relationship. And in the context of doing that, trying to make sure that we're getting the support of our association so they could teach some of those courses as well. And then the timing of that went well, because the state of Illinois was now going to allow teachers with just 18 hours of master's work in their content area to become certified to teach those courses.
I see. So, students are always looking for relevancy, looking for jobs. How about their academic pathway? Where did it go to the community college? Was it in public safety? Was it in pre-nursing? How did that kind of...
we're kind of working through a multitude of pathways, I guess you could say, that we have just that pathway of the student that is looking to pursue a 4-year college degree and going to get that associate's degree and then transfer out, and then looking at students that are looking maybe in a culinary field, CTE, the kind of the work there, and then we're looking at the CNC route as well, or CNA route, I should say. in relation to the nursing side of things. So we're trying to have kids leave us with some degree of certification if that's their desire, but also realize that we can't necessarily afford all the wonderful equipment that goes into creating those certifications.
Yeah,
and so that's why our leaning on the junior college has become a really nice partnership.
As far as businesses in the planning process, how hard was it to engage them, and what did you do to try to get them all on board? Because some give it lip service, but business is business. They don't have time sometimes for this other stuff.
Well, and again, I think it's been a real blessing that we have a Board of Education that's really immersed in this idea, because I think the College Board, frankly, had a stranglehold on some of the AP curriculum and things of that nature, and we begin to kind of push away from that a little bit in relation to that. And the reality is, in the Crystal Lake Cary area in which we serve, there are a number of employers that are looking for people to work for them.
I see. Wow.
And so developing those partnerships came from the fact that they needed us, we needed them, and so we've put together a workforce development committee as a caveat to the whole planning idea. And just recently, as short as a week and a half ago, we had our second annual Made in Your Own Backyard event, where from each of our schools we transport both the kids, and then they needed to have a parent go with them. And we had 4 of these companies that we went in at night so they could kind of share their story with our students. And we visited those companies during that period of time, and so the kids came away with a real feel that it's not just manufacturing. They have an HR department, they have an accounting department, they have an engineering department, so they got to get a real flavor for what they're all about.
Well, it's interesting. Your planning process was pretty comprehensive. It was professionally facilitated, and many districts that take on that effort, they get so far it kind of dies and it becomes a book on the shelf. There's no long action plans going on. So how would you paint a picture of your district if you had not gone ahead with the planning process? What would your district or community look like if you hadn't done it?
If we hadn't done it, I think it's kind of that old adage from Jim Collins back in the day, good to great. In that we have a very good school district. There's no doubt about it. Whether any metric you look at, graduation rates, ACT, SAT scores, kids advancing to that next level. But this was just another way for us to kind of look at ourselves and be a little more self-reflective of, okay, what are we doing, and are we serving all kids or just portions of that student population? And so it really allowed us to kind of do a deep dive and get feedback from stakeholders, and not just kind of live in this never land of everything is beautiful and great. But and through that process, then I think we have landed in a place where the emphasis here is not to have it end up on a shelf, and that we have 5 goals, we have 10 strategy teams.
Oh my gosh.
We have 71 of our staff members that are involved in those strategy teams, and they'll be doing some site visits now throughout the rest of this year. And we've put together, with the assistance of the Consortium of Educational Change, a district scorecard of things that we believe we want to be measured on and that we feel are significant, and it goes beyond the scope of an SAT score or advancement into the next level, but things more significant like social emotional, and looking at it from more of a 10,000-foot lens.
I've been told by a few superintendents that the relationship between the board and the superintendent gets strengthened when you go through a strategic planning process, because everybody's got their thumbprint all over it. Is that true?
Yeah, I really feel, and they were very supportive of it. In fact, 2 of them sat on the team, so they got to hear from the community and hear from our kids. And as we did a lot of collaborative teaming throughout that experience, I think they gained a deeper appreciation for what and why we want to do the things we're currently undergoing right now. And it's certainly going to be challenging at times, because we are shifting a paradigm, and we just need to be patient with it, but also be understanding of why people feel the way they do.
Is there any remaining advice you might give a superintendent who's thinking of tackling such a process? Is it don't do it alone, or is it...
Well, I think the job of being a superintendent is pretty immense to begin with, and that having experts kind of guide the process and then hold your hand as you go through the process, and then continue to hold your hand in that next year as you migrate into some of these strategy teams, is something that I couldn't imagine doing on my own without that level of assistance. So I would, if you're thinking about it, I would certainly encourage you to look into organizations that could be of some assistance and guidance.
Well, I hope any district that's interested in the strategic planning process, please reach out and contact Steve. I know your information will be online, and I know he'll be very helpful. I learned a lot before the cameras got rolling, so very good, and it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Steve.